There were moments when you felt something was wrong, even when you could not explain it. A conversation felt different. A person's words sounded kind, but something about their actions did not match. You noticed the sudden change in energy, the hidden disrespect, the manipulation disguised as concern, the kindness that seemed to come with a price. And maybe you questioned yourself, maybe you wondered, am I imagining this? But sometimes your discomfort is not asking you to accuse someone, it is asking you to pay attention. Because one of the greatest forms of wisdom is learning to observe without immediately reacting. Chosen one, learn this carefully. An evil person is not always the loudest person in the room. They may not appear cruel, they may smile, they may speak softly, they may even know exactly what you want to hear. That is why character is not measured only by words. Watch patterns, watch how someone treats people who cannot benefit them. Watch how they respond when they are told no. Watch whether they celebrate another person's success or secretly try to reduce it. Watch whether they take responsibility when they hurt someone or immediately search for someone else to blame. Pay attention to consistency. Because words can be performed, character is revealed through repeated behavior. And this is where your journey becomes different. They underestimated you. They thought your kindness meant you were easy to deceive. They thought your patience meant you were afraid. They thought your silence meant you had nothing to say. But they misunderstood you. Your silence was not weakness. You were watching, you were learning, you were becoming wiser. You did not need to expose every thought inside your mind. You did not need to announce every plan. You did not need to respond to every insult. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one who refuses to become emotionally controlled by the room. And chosen one, this is important. Do not let your awareness turn into suspicion of everyone. Wisdom does not mean believing everyone is evil. Wisdom means knowing that not everyone deserves the same level of trust. There is a difference. You can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to your life. You can wish someone well without allowing them to repeatedly cross your boundaries. You can remain compassionate without becoming careless. This is part of spiritual awakening. God gives you the ability to learn, reflect, and choose your actions with wisdom. Not every closed door is rejection. Not every distance is punishment. Sometimes divine timing creates distance so that you can see clearly what you could not see while standing too close. You were not forgotten. Your delay was not your ending. Some seasons are quiet because you are being taught patience. Some relationships fade because your understanding is changing. Some disappointments become lessons that protect you from repeating the same mistake. And sometimes the greatest revelation is not discovering who was against you. It is discovering who you are becoming. You begin to recognize manipulation without becoming manipulative. You recognize dishonesty without becoming dishonest. You recognize cruelty without allowing cruelty to enter your own heart. That is real strength. Because anyone can become bitter after betrayal, but it takes discipline to remain principled. Anyone can seek revenge, but it takes wisdom to walk away. Anyone can try to prove themselves. But it takes maturity to let their character speak. Justice does not require revenge. Let truth reveal itself through time, actions, and consequences. You do not need to destroy another person to prove that they hurt you. You do not need to spend your life explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Truth reveals itself. Maybe not immediately, maybe not in the way you expect, but you can still choose to live with integrity while trusting one God with what you cannot control. Chosen one, perhaps the real sign of your awakening is that you no longer need everyone to understand you. You stop chasing approval. You stop begging people to recognize your value. You stop explaining your heart to people who have already decided what they want to believe. You become quieter, not because you are defeated, because you are focused. You protect your peace. You strengthen your discipline. You become careful about who receives your trust. You learn from your mistakes without worshiping your past. And slowly something changes. You realize that your destiny was never about becoming better than other people. It was about becoming better than the version of yourself that fear, anger, disappointment, and betrayal tried to create. That is what chosen one should mean, not superiority, responsibility, not ego, moral strength, not believing you are above others, understanding that your life carries a purpose, and that purpose requires wisdom. You may have been underestimated, you may have been misunderstood, you may have been betrayed, but none of those experiences have to define your future. They can become lessons, they can become wisdom. They can become the foundation of a stronger character. So when you encounter someone whose behavior repeatedly brings confusion, disrespect, manipulation, or harm, do not rush into hatred. Step her back, observe, set boundaries. Protect your peace, ask one God for wisdom, and keep moving forward, because your greatest victory will not be watching someone who hurt you fall. Your greatest victory will be standing one day and realizing that they did not turn you into someone you were never meant to become. You remain patient, you remain disciplined, you remain courageous. You remain connected to one God. They underestimated you, but you were never required to prove yourself through anger. Your silence was not weakness. You were learning, you were growing, you were awakening. You were not forgotten, your delay was not your ending, and your legacy is being built not through revenge, not through noise, not through the approval of others, but through the quiet decisions you make when nobody is watching. So keep walking, keep your heart clean, but your boundaries strong. Keep your eyes open, but do not let suspicion control your soul. Keep your patience, even when the answers are slow. Trust divine wisdom more than temporary confusion, because your journey is not about discovering every enemy. It is about discovering your own strength. And one day you may look back at every betrayal, every delay, every lonely season, and every moment when you felt misunderstood, and realize that they were not the end of your story. They were part of the wisdom that shaped you. Chosen one, walk forward with patience. Let divine timing teach you. Let truth reveal itself. Let justice belong to one God, and remember this forever. Your destiny does not need to be rushed. Your purpose does not need to be explained. Your wisdom does not need to be announced. What is meant to shape you will shape you, and what is meant to leave you will teach you. Keep walking with patience, divine wisdom, and courage, because your journey is still becoming the legacy you were meant to leave behind. Chosen one, now listen carefully, because this is where the hidden lesson becomes deeper. Sometimes the most dangerous thing is not the person who openly dislikes you. It is the person who constantly makes you question yourself. They may compliment you, then quietly undermine you. They may say they care, then repeatedly cross boundaries you clearly established. They may apologize only to repeat the same behavior when they believe you have forgotten. And slowly, you begin doubting your own judgment. You start asking yourself, maybe I am too sensitive, maybe I misunderstood, maybe I am the problem. But wisdom teaches you to stop judging yourself by someone else's manipulation. Look at the pattern. One mistake can be human. A repeated pattern of disrespect deserves attention. Chosen one, this is why your awakening may feel uncomfortable. You are beginning to see what you once excused. You are beginning to notice what you once ignored. You are beginning to understand why certain interactions left you exhausted, even when nothing obvious happened. Not every uncomfortable feeling means someone is evil. But when words and actions repeatedly contradict each other, you have permission to step back and observe. You don't need an accusation, you need discernment, and discernment is not hatred. It is wisdom with boundaries. There are people who become uncomfortable when you stop being easily controlled, when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop responding immediately, when you stop accepting disrespect just because you want peace. They may call you cold, they may say you changed, they may misunderstand your distance. Let them. You are not responsible for maintaining access to you at the cost of your peace. Your silence was not weakness. Your silence became a place where you could finally hear your own thoughts. And perhaps in that quiet, you began turning toward one God more sincerely. You began asking different questions, not why are they treating me this way, but what is this experience teaching me? What kind of person do I want to become? What boundaries do I need? What wisdom should I carry forward? That is awakening. You stop obsessing over people's intentions and start paying attention to their actions. You stop trying to control how others see you and start controlling how you respond. You stop demanding immediate answers and begin trusting divine timing. Chosen one. Remember this, a person with genuine character does not need you to become smaller for them to feel powerful. They don't need to humiliate you to feel important. They don't need to control every decision you make. They can respect your boundaries. They can admit when they are wrong. They can celebrate your growth without treating your success as a threat. And when someone consistently does the opposite, you don't need to become their enemy. You simply need to become more careful. Distant can be wisdom. Silence can be wisdom. Saying no can be wisdom. Walking away can be wisdom. And sometimes the most powerful answer you can give is no answer at all. They underestimated you. They thought you would always return. They thought you would always forgive without changing your boundaries. They thought your kindness meant unlimited access. But you are learning. And learning changes everything. Still, be careful not to let your experiences turn your heart hard. This is one of the greatest tests. After betrayal, you may want to trust nobody. After rejection, you may want to love nobody. After manipulation, you may want to believe everyone has an agenda. But that is not freedom. That is another prison. Your goal is not to become suspicious of everyone. Your goal is to become wise enough to recognize what deserves your trust. Keep your compassion, keep your humility, keep your heart connected to one God. But let your boundaries become stronger. Because being good does not mean being available to everyone. Being forgiving does not mean forgetting every lesson. Being patient does not mean tolerating endless disrespect. And being peaceful does not mean remaining where your peace is constantly destroyed. There comes a moment when you realize that protecting your purpose is part of protecting your future. Your time matters, your attention matters, your energy matters, your character matters. Your relationship with one God matters, so stop giving your deepest attention to people who only bring confusion. Stop chasing explanations from people who refuse honesty. Stop trying to convince someone of your worth when your worth was never theirs to determine. You were not forgotten. You were being refined through experience. And perhaps what you called loneliness was sometimes simply a season of separation from distractions. What you called rejection may have been an opportunity to discover your own direction. What you called failure may have been a lesson in patience. Your delay was not your ending, it was a chapter. And chapters change, truth reveals itself, not because you forced it, not because you exposed everyone, but because time has a way of revealing what words attempt to hide. So keep watching, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep your heart free from revenge. Justice does not require revenge. You do not have to become cruel because someone was cruel to you. You do not have to become dishonest because someone lied to you. You do not have to become cold because someone broke your trust. You can become wiser without becoming harder. You can become stronger without becoming bitter. You can become more discerning without losing compassion. That is the balance your awakening is teaching you. Chosen one, your life is not asking you to identify every evil person around you. It is asking you to recognize the qualities you should never allow to control your own heart: manipulation, arrogance, cruelty, deception, envy. Revenge, let those things end with you. Choose honesty, choose patience, choose courage, choose discipline, choose wisdom, choose one God. Because your legacy is being built right now. In the decisions nobody applauds, in the boundaries nobody sees, in the moments when you could retaliate but choose restraint. And perhaps one day you will understand why you had to walk through those difficult seasons. Not because you were abandoned, but because you were learning how to walk with greater wisdom. Chosen one, they may never understand the person you became, and that's okay. You do not need everyone to understand you. You need to remain faithful to what is right. You need to protect your peace. You need to trust divine timing. You need to keep walking. Because the strongest version of you will not be the person who defeated everyone who hurt you. It will be the person who refused to let betrayal destroy their character. Your silence was not weakness. Your patience was not defeat. Your delay was not your ending. Truth reveals itself. Justice does not require revenge. And your legacy is being built every day you choose wisdom over anger, purpose over distraction, and divine timing over fear. Chosen one, there is something you must understand before you continue this journey. Not everyone who walks away from you is evil. Not everyone who disagrees with you is against you. Not everyone who disappoints you is secretly trying to destroy you. This is where true discernment begins, because if you have been hurt enough times, your mind can begin looking for danger everywhere. You can start seeing betrayal in every silence, manipulation in every disagreement, and rejection in every distance. But spiritual awakening is not paranoia, it is clarity. It is learning to see people as they are without allowing fear to control your judgment. And sometimes the greatest sign of maturity is being able to say, I was wrong about that person. Because wisdom does not demand that you always be right. Wisdom demands that you remain willing to learn. Chosen one, there are people you will encounter who reveal themselves slowly, not through one dramatic moment. Through patterns, they may constantly need control. They may twist conversations until you feel guilty for something they did. They may refuse responsibility. They may become angry whenever you establish a boundary. They may celebrate your failures more than your victories. They may only respect you when you are useful to them. And when you begin noticing these patterns, do not immediately respond with hatred. Step back. Observe. Protect your peace. You do not need to expose every person. You do not need to confront every person. Sometimes distance is enough. Sometimes silence is enough. Sometimes the wisest decision is simply to stop giving someone access to the parts of you they repeatedly mishandled. This is not cruelty. This is discernment. And chosen one, you must learn the difference between forgiveness and permission. Forgiveness can release your heart from the weight of resentment. But forgiveness does not require you to reopen every door. You can forgive someone and still maintain distance. You can release anger and still remember the lesson. You can wish someone peace without allowing them to disturb yours. That is strength, because your purpose requires energy. And if you constantly spend that energy trying to decode people, prove yourself, or defend your character, you will have less energy left for the life one God has placed in front of you. So stop making every battle your responsibility. Some things do not need your response. Some accusations do not deserve your explanation. Some misunderstandings do not require correction. And some people will only understand your value after they no longer have access to you. But even then, do not live for that moment. Do not build your life around someone else's regret. Build it around your purpose. Build it around discipline. Build it around wisdom. Build it around closeness to one God. Because the greatest transformation happens when you stop asking, when will they realize what they did to me? And begin asking, what am I becoming because of what I survived? That question changes everything. Maybe the betrayal taught you boundaries. Maybe the loneliness taught you self-respect. Maybe the rejection taught you patience. Maybe the disappointment taught you discernment. Maybe the silence taught you how to hear your own conscience again. Nothing excuses wrongdoing, but your pain does not have to be wasted. You can turn lessons into wisdom. You can turn wounds into maturity. You can turn difficult seasons into strength. They underestimated you, but perhaps you were never supposed to convince them. Perhaps you were supposed to convince yourself that you could keep moving even when nobody applauded. Chosen one, your destiny is not proven by how many people admire you. It is revealed through who you become when nobody is watching. When you are disappointed, do you remain honest? When you are insulted, do you maintain control? When you are betrayed, do you seek justice without becoming consumed by revenge? When you are misunderstood, do you continue walking? That is where your character is built. That is where your legacy begins. And remember, Justice does not require revenge. You do not need to chase consequences. You do not need to spend sleepless nights imagining what will happen to those who hurt you. Leave what you cannot control with one God. Your responsibility is your character. Your responsibility is your response. Your responsibility is your direction. Let divine wisdom guide you where emotion cannot. Let divine timing teach you patience. Let your trials teach you strength without allowing them to teach you hatred. Because there will come a time when you realize that the person you were desperately trying to protect was not someone else. It was you, the real you. The peaceful you, the disciplined you, the hopeful you. The person who still believed that life had meaning even after experiencing disappointment. That person is still alive. Do not bury that person because someone else failed to appreciate them. You were not forgotten. You were learning. Your delay was not your ending. You were being prepared to understand things you could not understand before. And maybe that is why your journey has felt different. You are learning to recognize darkness without becoming dark. You are learning to recognize manipulation without becoming manipulative. You are learning to recognize evil without allowing hatred to dominate your heart. That is spiritual maturity. Chosen one. Keep your eyes open, but keep your heart clean. Be cautious, but do not become fearful. Have boundaries. But do not become cruel. Forgive, but remember the lesson. Walk away when necessary, but do not spend your life looking backward, because your future deserves more attention than your past. Your purpose deserves more attention than people's opinions. Your relationship with one God deserves more attention than temporary drama, and your peace deserves protection. So if someone repeatedly shows you who they are through their actions, believe the pattern. You do not need a dramatic revelation. You do not need absolute certainty about someone's heart. You only need enough wisdom to decide what access they should have to your life. That is freedom, that is maturity, that is awakening. And one day, you may realize that the greatest thing you ever discovered was not who the evil people were. It was who you became after meeting them. You became wiser, stronger, more patient, more disciplined, more careful with your trust, more grateful for genuine people, more connected to one God, and that is the victory, not revenge, not proving anyone wrong. Transformation, because your legacy is being built every boundary, every quiet prayer, every disciplined decision, every time you chose patience instead of anger, every time you walked away instead of destroying yourself trying to be understood. Every time you trusted divine wisdom when your emotions demanded immediate answers. It is all becoming part of your story. So keep going, chosen one. You do not need everyone to understand you. You do not need everyone to believe in you. You do not need everyone to recognize your purpose. You need wisdom, you need patience, you need courage, and you need to remain connected to one God. Because when you walk with divine wisdom, you stop fearing every closed door. You stop chasing every person who leaves. You stop fighting every battle. You start understanding that some endings are lessons, some distances are protection, and some delays are invitations to grow. Your silence was not weakness. They underestimated you. You were not forgotten. Your delay was not your ending. Truth reveals itself. Justice does not require revenge, and your legacy is being built, so walk forward with your head high and your heart humble. Let patience strengthen you. Let wisdom guide you. Let divine timing shape you, and never forget. The person you are becoming is more important than the people who failed to recognize who you were. Your destiny is not rushed by time. Your purpose is not destroyed by rejection, and your journey is not defined by betrayal. Keep walking with patience, courage, and divine wisdom, because what one God is teaching you today may become the very strength that carries your legacy tomorrow. Chosen one, before you leave this message, take a moment and let this truth settle deep inside you. You have learned that spotting an evil person is not about becoming suspicious of everyone. It is about becoming wise enough to recognize patterns. It is about watching actions instead of being hypnotized by words. It is about noticing how someone treats the vulnerable, how they respond to boundaries, how they handle responsibility. and whether their kindness remains when there is nothing to gain. But most importantly, it is about knowing yourself, because when you become grounded in your values, you become harder to manipulate. When you become comfortable with silence, you become harder to provoke. When you stop needing everyone's approval, you become harder to control. And when you place your trust in one God, you stop believing that you must control every outcome yourself. Chosen one, remember what you have been through, the people who underestimated you, the moments that made you question yourself, the doors that closed, the relationships that changed, the seasons when you felt alone, the betrayals that forced you to grow. None of those experiences have to become your identity. They can become your wisdom. They can become your discernment. They can become the reason you no longer ignore the signs that your own conscience is showing you. But never allow pain to convince you that everyone is your enemy. That is not awakening. Awakening is seeing clearly without losing compassion. It is knowing when to trust, knowing when to wait, knowing when to speak, knowing when to remain silent, and knowing when it is time to walk away. Your silence was not weakness, your patience was not fear, your kindness was not stupidity. You were learning, and chosen one, perhaps the greatest lesson is this. You do not have to become like the people who hurt you in order to defeat what they represented. If someone lies, you do not need to become a liar. If someone manipulates, you do not need to manipulate. If someone seeks revenge, you do not need revenge. If someone tries to break your peace, you do not have to surrender it. Justice does not require revenge. Let one God handle what is beyond your control. Your responsibility is to protect your character. Protect your peace, protect your purpose, and keep your heart connected to divine wisdom, because truth reveals itself. Maybe not according to your schedule, maybe not in the way you imagine. But you do not need to force every truth into the light. Time, actions, and consequences often reveal what words attempt to hide. So release the obsession with proving people wrong. Release the need to make everyone understand your side. Release the desire to receive an apology before you allow yourself to heal. You were not forgotten. You were not abandoned by purpose. Your delay was not your ending. Perhaps this season was teaching you something that comfort never could: patience, discernment, self-respect, courage, and faith in divine timing. Chosen one, your life is bigger than the people who misunderstood you. Your destiny is bigger than the betrayal you experienced. Your future is bigger than the rejection that once made you question your worth. Do not spend the rest of your life staring at the door that closed. Turn around. Look at the road ahead. There is still work to do. There is still growth to embrace. There is still wisdom to gain. There is still a version of you waiting to emerge. And your greatest victory will not be watching someone who hurt you suffer. Your greatest victory will be becoming so grounded, so disciplined, so wise, and so connected to one God that their actions no longer control the direction of your life. That is freedom. That is strength. That is awakening. So when you encounter someone who repeatedly brings deception, manipulation, disrespect, or chaos into your life, do not respond with hatred. Respond with wisdom. Step back, set the boundary, protect your peace, and keep walking. You do not need to destroy them. You do not need to expose them. You do not need to become consumed by them. You simply need to choose what kind of person you will become, because your legacy is being built right now. In your patience, in your restraint, in your discipline, in your courage. In the quiet moments when nobody sees you choosing what is right. And one day you may look back and realize the people who hurt you were not the authors of your destiny. The rejection did not write your ending. The betrayal did not determine your worth. The delay did not cancel your purpose. You kept walking, you kept learning, you kept growing, you kept trusting one God. And that was the real victory. So, chosen one, keep your eyes open, keep your boundaries strong, keep your heart humble, keep your intentions pure. Do not fear what you cannot control. Do not chase what is leaving. Do not force what requires divine timing. And do not allow another person's darkness to convince you that your light must disappear. They underestimated you. Your silence was not weakness. You were not forgotten. Your delay was not your ending. Truth reveals itself. Justice does not require revenge, and your legacy is being built. Remember this whenever you feel lost. Your destiny does not depend on being understood by everyone. Your purpose does not require you to defeat everyone who hurt you. Walk with patience, stand with courage, choose wisdom over anger, and leave what you cannot control with one God. Because sometimes the longest road is the one that teaches you the deepest truth, and the person you become along that road is the greatest evidence that your journey was never wasted.